My name is Zack. I'm 16, and recently, my life was turned completely upside down. It all started on December 20th, when I decided to indulge in my old bad habit of going through my parents' stuff to find out what I'd be getting for Christmas. I know it's wrong, and weird, and not cool because it ruins the surprise and all, but I'm just really not good at waiting. For me, it's like an itch that doesn't go away until I find out what's being kept away from me. So that night, when my parents were out, I couldn't fight the urge to snoop around a little bit. And with years of experience under my belt, I knew exactly where my mom and dad would stash all the gifts. First, I decided to go through mom's favorite hiding spot, her wardrobe. That totally paid off. The very first bag I looked in contained these awesome sneakers that I'd been wanting for a really long time. Wicked, I whispered to myself and put them back where they belong. I went to my dad's hiding spot, the attic. It took me more time to find his presents for me. I first came across a box with a silk scarf and a jeweled brooch. Oh, that must be for mom, I thought to myself and put it away, going back to my search. Soon enough, I hit pay dirt. He got me a new PlayStation. I then covered up any signs of intrusion I might have left. When my parents got back, they could never know that I'd gone through their things. I didn't expect any surprises on Christmas morning. I knew exactly what I was getting. But one surprise did happen. Once I finished opening my presents, I turned to see if my mom and dad were enjoying the gifts that I got for them. It was at that moment when mom opened dad's gifts for her. It was a perfume. A really nice, expensive one, I'm sure. But it wasn't the gift that I saw in his hiding spot. Maybe that was for Grandma, I thought to myself. That seemed like the most probable option. I mean, who else could it be for, right? Hey Dad, I asked nonchalantly, did you get anything for Grandma? He seemed surprised by my question, but replied nonetheless. Oh, I already shipped her a rocking chair that she told me she'd had her eye on. Why do you ask, bud? No reason, I shook my head. Just curious. I tried to play it cool, even though my first thought was, is Dad cheating on Mom? I tried to convince myself that the scarf and brooch could be for anyone, like his boss or a female coworker or something. It's fine, I kept telling myself. There's no reason to freak out. But like I said before, I can't stand not knowing something for sure. I couldn't really focus on anything else. I needed to figure out what was actually going on. I immediately came up with a plan. The perfect plan on how to figure everything out without raising any suspicion or letting my parents know what a snoop I am. Step 1. Distract my dad and get my hands on his phone without anyone noticing. This was probably the easiest one of all. My dad considers himself an exceptional singer. And to be honest, he is exceptionally bad. But he does love playing guitar and singing, which is why I suggested that he play and sing some Christmas songs for me and Mom later that evening. He was more than happy to do it, and I got the perfect opportunity to grab his cell phone and slip it into my pocket as he was putting on his performance. Step 2. Install a spying app on his phone before he notices it's missing. This was a trickier one. I knew my dad would notice his phone missing pretty soon and would start looking for it, so I needed to act fast. I listened to a couple of his songs and then excused myself for a minute to go to the bathroom. Once there, I installed one of those monitoring apps that allow parents to spy on their kids. Pretty ironic, right? And made sure to hide the icon so that he wouldn't notice. Then I headed back to the living room. My dad was still singing without a care in the world, and I managed to put the phone back where he'd left it without him ever suspecting a thing. Step 3. Go through his messages and phone calls. Now I can access his phone from mine without him ever knowing. I went to my room in order to have some privacy. Dad's phone was clean. No flirty texts, no unknown women in his contact list, no romantic selfies, or anything like that. Everything seemed okay until I noticed the amount of times he dialed dry cleaners. He called there practically every day, and some of the calls were like 10 to 15 minutes long. Seems a little too long to be talking about your coat or suit being cleaned, right? Step 4. Follow the lead. I copied the number and took a deep breath. At this point, I was righteously nervous of what I might find out. But I knew that if I'd already started digging, I couldn't stop halfway. I dialed the number. Please be the dry cleaners. Please just be the dry cleaners, I kept whispering to myself. A female voice answered. Hello? I struggled to reply. Hello? Is anyone there? Finally, I decided to improvise. Hi, Sally. It's me. I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong number, she cut me off. Oh, sorry, this isn't Sally? No, this is Ashley. Sorry, kid. I'm afraid Sally blew you off. Bummer. Oh yeah, so embarrassing. Well, I'm sorry I bothered you, miss. Merry Christmas. I hung up before she could say anything. I was so mad, I barely stopped myself from throwing my phone across the room. Who was this Ashley chick? Does she know my dad has a family? Does she know that she's labeled dry cleaners in his phone? This was so messed up on so many levels. I put my hands on the wall and took several deep breaths. I needed to calm down and continue with my plan, no matter how hard it was getting. Step 5. Catch him in the act. This step required patience, which is why it was the hardest part for me. I monitored my dad's phone pretty much non-stop for the next few days, and nothing seemed suspicious at first. He went to work, called his friend, and sent a bunch of business emails. Then I noticed he made a reservation at some restaurant. I thought, bingo! He'll be there with this woman. But when I followed him there, I saw him dining with his work friends. I almost gave up when finally, on New Year's Eve, I noticed his phone at an address that I've never seen before. It was right downtown, and I didn't know anyone among his friends who lived there. I followed him. I was so nervous, I felt like I was gonna puke. I approached the house and raised my trembling hand to knock on the door, but I stopped myself. What if I'm mistaken? How will I explain myself if whatever's happening behind that door has a reasonable explanation? I stepped away from the front door. Maybe I'll just pop my head in the window. I decided that would be a much safer option, so I crouched near the window and looked inside. My whole body went numb. In the living room, on a big leather couch, I could see my dad kissing some woman. I kept staring blankly. Everything had gone according to plan, but I didn't know what to do with the result that I'd ended up with. Should I take some pictures as proof? Should I knock on the window and let him know he's been caught? Before I even got a chance to decide what to do, the woman, Ashley, I already knew that her name was Ashley, noticed me in the window. She screamed and pointed at me. My dad turned around and our eyes met. I'm still not quite sure who this moment was worse for, me or him. My dad stopped seeing Ashley. Well, she broke up with him the second she found out that he was married this whole time. She actually seemed pretty nice, which only made things worse for me. Had she been a bad person, I could hate her, but she wasn't, so I couldn't. All of my anger and frustration fell on my dad, the person I used to look up to. Since he'd been caught red-handed, he did confess to Mom, which didn't go too well, of course. In fact, I'm still not sure if they're gonna try and work things out or get divorced. And even though my house has turned into a never-ending battlefield, I know that I made the right decision, because peace that was built on lies and betrayal would never last, and I wouldn't want to be a part of it.